Alrighty, everybody. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back here to another evening update here on the tropics. We're back here with another update for Erin. Currently almost Hurricane Erin at this point. We are still a tropical storm, but barely. But what's up, everybody? Good to see y'all. We got ourselves Abby. What's up, Abby? Good to see ya. Hope you're doing good. Hope everything is well with ya. Of course, welcome everybody else who is joining. Let me get my camera nice and situated. I guess that's as good as it's going to get. But anyways, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone is doing good. So, we got ourselves some new updates here. We got ourselves a pretty good view of the storm here right now as well. Let me go ahead and hop y'all over here to the current satellite imagery. So this is kind of at a different angle here. You can see over here's Florida, here's Carolinas, Virginia. But look at this guy. This is it. This is the storm here. You can see it's looking pretty good. You know, it's actually doing fairly well. Can really see some deep convection going on in the storm here. And like I mentioned, you know, it is actually really close to becoming a hurricane already. Right now, we are sustained at 70 miles an hour. We are just shy of a Category 1 here currently. But yeah, we are clocking in at 70 miles an hour, still moving west at 17 miles per hour, and the pressure is down to 999 millibars. Let me double check that real quick from the Hurricane Center. Yep, everything looks good. So yeah, we're literally about to see the transition here from a tropical storm into a hurricane here. So, you know, like I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened tonight or, you know, for tomorrow morning early. On the forecast track, hopping back over here, on the forecast track, we're expected to become a Cat 1 here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Part of me thinks that that's probably going to happen a little bit earlier, because right now where it's at, it's really starting to work its way into some pretty, conducive waters. Very warm waters it's working its way into. Not as much wind shear or dry air anymore. You know, it's definitely starting to look pretty good here. Now, we do have hurricane warnings in place out here for the waters. This is not for the areas of land, by the way. And we do have some tropical storm warnings in effect here. Also, not for the land, just a bit of a heads up. That's for the waters out here, mostly including the northern waters here. I doubt we'll see any big-time tropical activity out here, but just want to let you all know this does not apply to those islands. But what does apply to some of those islands is what I really want to talk about now. This is the biggest update we got here. Looking at the cone from the Hurricane Center, you know, we do actually have some watches. These are tropical storm watches in effect out there for some of the northern islands out there. Kind of, I believe these are the Virgin Islands, if I'm not mistaken. Here, let me bring up my map here again real quickly. So those islands are these guys. Yeah, so those islands are these guys up here. So we do have, it doesn't really show, but we do have tropical storm watches in effect out there for some of those regions. So that's the newest big thing that we got here on the, oops, wrong screen. That's the newest big thing that we got here with this update here, is that they finally did, they finally did issue some watches, which, you know, I mentioned earlier would be a possibility, and it looks like that they actually end up doing it. What's up, Kaylee? Good to see ya. Saying loving the layout. Appreciate it. Yeah, I worked on it for a while. I think it looks pretty good. It's good enough. But good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing good. Abby says, looks like it's curving towards the Carolinas. But yeah, like I mentioned before, you know, anything beyond the cone is too far to look out. Let me show you guys the models. Let's just dive right into it here. We're gonna show y'all what's going on here. So here's the latest models of the Zero UTC spaghetti model runs here. So majority of models, let me pull up my pin here. Majority of the models do still have this system pulling its way up here to the north, to the northwest here, just remaining east of the Bahamas. You know, mostly just north of Puerto Rico and those regions out there. So that seems very possible at this point. Here, let me pull up this pen real quickly. That does seem very possible at this point, although still at this time, you know, some things can still change here. But yeah, currently here from the models, you can see that we do have pretty good agreement over the next 3 days or so as it works northwest. Should just remain north of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and whatnot. But it does kind of get close here just east of the Bahamas, basically days 4 and 5. So that's what we need to look out for. There definitely could be some indirect impacts, some coastal issues and all that kind of stuff going on, like rip currents and everything we do need to look out for. But anyways. Oh, let's see here. She's gnarly. Yeah, it's definitely picking up here. Let me go ahead and show you guys the satellite imagery again. So this is it. This is it in all its glory. So you can see we do have, here's where the center is, and also where, we have the heaviest convection. It's looking pretty darn healthy right now. Got some real deep convection going on here. And once again, right now it is a tropical storm still, but we are sustained at 70. We're pretty close to hurricane strength, though. So we'll keep an eye on it. Let's see, real time says, hey, Andy, watching from eastern Georgia. It's been a while. I've been checking on the tropics, other system, after Erin has my concern a little bit. Well, right now the Hurricane Center doesn't have anything going on after the system. We do, however, have this guy, which is 98L. This is another system that we were watching. It actually has been, growing in agreement here pretty rapidly, pretty quickly. We're now at 50% chance overall formation. We have a chance to maybe see a brief tropical depression out of this guy. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of anything super crazy, so not really worried. I mean, it's kind of, running out of time here to do anything spectacular. Latest satellite imagery kind of doesn't show a lot of heavy convection as there once was, but it does have a little chance of maybe turning into a brief depression or whatever. But all of our eyes are on this guy. All of our eyes on this guy. We'll definitely need to keep an eye on it. What's up, Chris? I'm saying, how's it going, Andrew? Been watching the Recon mission going through Erin. I won't spoil anything if you haven't looked at it. Oh, really? I knew they were supposed to go out, but yeah, I guess they had to have, huh? Let me go take a look at that, see what we got going on here. Oh, buddy. Okay. Here we go. First mission into Erin. Okay, so it looks like they did some drop sondes here. We're going to open this image in a new tab. Looks like we got down pressure to 1,001 millibars. Yeah, right now it's at 999 from Hurricane Center's page here. Boy, do we got some pretty strong winds, though. Holy cow. Towards that core, we got some pretty strong... Here, let me pull up the graphs here. Pretty strong flight level winds here. Looks like our flight level winds were above 65 knots. So that doesn't mean it automatically correlates to the ground. But my goodness. See your pressure. Oh, the pressure they did get down to 998, 997-ish. Okay, a little bit, yeah, down to 997 on that first pass, it looks like. So they've done a few passes at this point, it looks like, but wow. All right. But you know what, guys? Honestly, like I mentioned, I really would not be surprised if this thing does become a hurricane tonight. I mean, just based off of the way it looks and, how it's kind of been performing lately, really wouldn't be surprised. Now, like I mentioned, y'all, still at this point in time, there is no immediate danger for anywhere in the United States or anything like that. So, nobody needs to panic over this here. I mean, we do need to obviously watch it. We do need to keep an eye on it. Absolutely. But, there is no imminent danger for the states here. Also, Bermuda, as of right now, no immediate danger for Bermuda either. So, no need to panic or anything like that, no. Like I mentioned, anything beyond this point is a little bit tricky because of how inconsistent the models are and how much, things do change. Let's actually bring up the models here. We're gonna take a peek at the models again here. First of all, let me show you the spaghetti again, then we're going to go in the intensity, and then we'll look at the individual models and stuff. So, here's the latest guidance on the spaghetti models. So once again, yeah, throughout the next 3 days, next 72 hours here, we look pretty solid. The storm's just going to pass to the north. All of the spaghetti models keep it north of the Virgin Islands, north of Puerto Rico, north of the Antilles here, which is definitely good. So that's for the first 3 days. And then from the next, 3 days after that, there's a lot of uncertainty still. Handful of models have it kind of going further west, as you can see. And then you got a lot of other models that have it kind of really sharply turn into the right here. So there is obviously a little bit of uncertainty here still with everything. But that's the latest spaghetti. Keeps everything west of Bermuda. Bermuda currently not under any immediate danger like we've mentioned here. Current models have this thing just passing west of Bermuda. So as of right now, no immediate big concerns for Bermuda. However, like I mentioned, we still do need to keep an eye on it as things can absolutely still change. So here is the same models, but this is the intensity guidance here. So looking at the intensity, obviously you can see the middle ground here. We have gradual strengthening here. We're actually really starting to see some growing support of, the system possibly getting into like category 4 range, which, to be fair, I would not be surprised if we do get near cat 4 strength here with this system here. I mean, just given the waters that we're going to be heading into just north of Puerto Rico, once we get out there, like I've mentioned earlier on the stream here, or earlier on the other stream we did for an update, like I mentioned here, those waters are going to be like super, super warm. I mean, we're going to be seeing, 30 degrees Celsius waters, and all that out there. So very, very warm waters, as well as, not much limitations via wind shear. There's not a whole lot of winds will be acting against the storm, it looks like. And also, the moisture level. It kind of contains quite a bit of moisture. But yeah, looking back at the models here in terms of the strength, I mean, you can see that a good amount of the models here suggest this thing, the middle ground kind of does show it going into Cat 3. Wouldn't be surprised if we do reach Cat 4 with this system here. So we'll have to definitely monitor that. But yeah, that's the latest spaghetti. What is the last chance for them to declare it a hurricane? 11 p.m. For today, yes, I believe it is 11 o'clock, which, to be honest, I would not be surprised if the 11 o'clock update had this thing a Cat 1. Would not be surprised at all. I'd be willing to put everything on red. No, but we'll see what happens, We'll have to see what happens with it. We'll keep an eye on it. But I would not be surprised, either the 11 p.m. update or I think it's what? Is it every 3 hours they've been doing it? I forgot which rate they're doing it right now, every update. But either this update or next update will probably go into hurricane strength. Would not be surprised. See, it looks like it's gotten better. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely picked up in strength here. Let me go ahead and show you guys back over here to satellite view. I know it's a little bit on an angle here. But you can see we do have, here's Florida, here's the Carolinas, here's Virginia, so you can kind of see reference here. Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. You got the Antilles out here, and there's the system, just to the east of the Antilles. So definitely it's kicking off pretty good there. But yeah, look at that. The system's just a big blob right now. There's no eye or anything like that yet. It hasn't quite got to that stage, but later down in the forecast, I would not be surprised if it did eventually develop a pretty nice little eye. But yeah, I mean, looking at it now, though, it's very healthy. It looks very, very good. Right now, the waters are definitely very, very warm under the system here. There's plenty of moisture, not much wind shear acting against it. But it is definitely looking a lot better. Let's see, is it wobbly? It seems like it. Not really. What you're looking at is probably just a lot of the, or a lot of those high tops here. It's just bubbling, which, just typical deep convection. What's up, Raven? Good to see you, my friend. What's up, NATO, dude? Good to see you. W live stream. Appreciate it, dude. Good to see you. But yeah, like I mentioned, immediately currently there is no imminent United States threat or anything like that, so don't worry. Right now, like I've mentioned before here, anything beyond the cone is unknown at this point. There definitely could still be changes to the forecast. And remember, the big misconception is that people think that the cone is where the effects of the storm are going to be contained. And that is simply not true. That is where the center of the storm could remain in. So, if, for example, this is where we are expecting the center of the storm to, go through. So, for example, the storm could take a deep dive to the south, or it could go a little bit further to the east here. The cone of uncertainty holds the area in which the center, or the hurricane center expects the center of the storm to go over. So, like I mentioned, anything beyond this is la la land, basically. It's just way too early to tell. What's up, Brady? Good to see ya. Hope you're doing good. But yeah, all right, let's go and take a look at some models. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, y'all. We're going to take a peek at the latest and greatest model runs here. So, take these models with a grain of salt. Don't take them too serious. Don't take one of them too serious over the other. They need to be treated equally. So, if you see something scary, don't immediately assume the worst. This is just modeling. So, over the next several days, gradual strengthening once we approach our way here to the 17th, which that'll be on, Sunday, sorry. Yeah, so Sunday. Once we approach Sunday here, you can see here at 2 a.m., so pretty early. That's when the GFS has the system just north of Puerto Rico. And we continue working our way into these waters. Now, this is where I think it's going to have the strongest phase in which we're going to see the heaviest amount of strengthening out of the system. This is why I do think we're going to get the most strengthening is whenever this thing passes just north of Puerto Rico. Those waters are very, very favorable out there, for rapid development and everything. But then the GFS, we work way further down in time. That little speck right there, I know it's hard to see, but that little guy over there, that is Bermuda. GFS, latest GFS, keeps it between Bermuda and the U.S., but getting pretty close there to Bermuda. Obviously, this is a singular model run. Don't take this too serious. Things can absolutely change. The previous model run from the last GFS was pretty much on point. Continue working away further down in time. There's a little bit of changes here from the last two models. But it seems like the GFS has actually been fairly persistent with the last two model runs here. So, could be a good sign. But yeah, the GFS does keep things just between Bermuda and the United States the United States East Coast here. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Bermuda, right, once again, or the United States, no immediate danger right now. Remember, things can change, but like I said, we'll let you know if anything does change, but there is currently no reason to panic, no reason to worry about this system. But we'll definitely need you guys to keep an eye on it. Here's Euro. This is the 12 UTC model. Honestly, kind of agreeing with the GFS here, keeping the system right between the U.S. East Coast and Bermuda. Honestly, that would probably be the best case scenario, meaning that it gets, doesn't get super crazy for either of those areas, which would be pretty nice. That's the best, is if it was just to kind of squeeze between the two areas, which is very possible at this time. But remember, these are just models, singular model runs. They can obviously change here. Yeah, Euro's been actually a bit more west than a lot of the other models here, but still ultimately shows that that northerly push. Don't want to go too far down in time, but that's what Euro shows. CMC, here's the CMC model. Yeah, CMC actually has it a little bit further to the east. You can see not as big of a system either from this model. I know it's hard to see, but there's Bermuda right there. Right where my cursor's at. See that point right there? That's Bermuda. Itty-bitty little speck here on the map. But, yeah, CMC keeps everything just slightly west of Bermuda there, but it kind of scrapes the edge there. But that's above 150 hours out. Gets a little iffy at that point. Then lastly, we got Icon. Now, Icon, it's got a mind of its own, I tell you. Icon's kind of got a mind of its own, as you guys can see here. This is the 18 UTC run here. First of all, Icon has this thing a lot further south, just on the edge of Puerto Rico there, you can see. Right on the edge there. Then it actually has the system kind of hugging up against the side of the Bahamas. And then you see the pressure there? 922. Yeah, so this is what we call an outcast model. This is where basically this model shows a completely different outcome than what the other models suggest. So obviously this is the only model that suggested this. So at this point in time, this is a very unlikely candidate for what's actually going to happen. What's up, Sonia? Good to see you. Let's see here. Is Florida out of it? Florida is unlikely to get hit, yes. but you know, wouldn't completely remove anything. You know, 'cause sometimes, you know, systems can pull a tricked ya type of moment. I've seen it happen before. I'm not saying it will, but I wouldn't definitely say 100% no impact. But we're getting closer. We're starting to learn a bit more about the system, and more than likely it will you know, shoot to the north here. But I really don't think Florida will get this, honestly. Let's see. At very least, Erin will be a big wave maker, or be a wave maker. That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me show you the lower dynamics here. Looking at those significant wave heights. So this is the GFS model. Go ahead and load those frames up so you can see, you know, could definitely bring some pretty big waves out there. You guys can see the table on the right here. And as we work our way eastward, you can see there's the Bahamas here. Some of those Bahamian islands could see, you know, a good 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 foot waves or so. You know, definitely some pretty big seas. And, you know, that does give a bit of a concern for, like, you know, rip currents and stuff like that could be an issue for those regions there. And, you know, across a lot of the U.S. East Coast here also definitely quite wavy for what it looks like. You know, those could definitely get pretty big, according to GFS, as it works its way. Now, Bermuda, GFS has that system between Bermuda and the U.S., but it does show Bermuda and some possibly pretty big waves. So I do need Bermuda to really watch this one closely. You know, because Bermuda does have it. There's another system, according to GFS, that could develop, but I'm not too sold on that yet, so we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, that's that. So we'll just watch it. But yeah, more than likely there will certainly be, you know, some impacts there regarding some big waves and stuff. Oh, let's see here. Kai says, what do I think the chances of things besides waves for North Carolina / Virginia, like the Outer Banks and stuff? So, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I'm going to say this a lot. I know I sound like a broken record, but anything beyond the cone here is unknown. There is model support to show the system between Bermuda and the United States. You know, the effects, the full effects are still not fully known at this point. But at least at this point, there will probably be some coastal concerns and stuff like that, like rip currents and waves and everything like that. But I know you said besides that, but we really cannot tell right now. They said Hurricane Andrew was going to go out to sea until it slammed Miami. Yeah, but also you got to think, Hurricane Andrew is in 92. We have way better models now than we did back then. So, also something you got to take into consideration. You know, better supercomputers to process the models. I mean, their supercomputers back then was at most equivalent to a modern computer now. I mean, look at now. I mean, we got hyper crazy computers now that could, you know, really take a lot of those points and plug them in. But yeah, you know, you got to think of it that way too. But you know what? I ain't saying it's impossible, because, you know, I've seen even in the modern age, I've seen you know, big changes last minute. But you know, that's why we should never let our guard down. But we should, you know, definitely just not panic over it. You know, there's no reason to worry about this right now. Yeah, the most that we should do, don't worry about it. No reason to go buy out everything. You know, and just, we'll just keep an eye on it. Like Windows 95 back in the day. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, you know what's funny? I know this is extremely off topic, but I have a Windows 97 computer right over here. Not the one I'm on, obviously, but I do. I do have it. Let me see if I can find it real quickly. I know this is extremely off topic. Look at this big brick. I know I'm very much off topic right now. We're going to get right back in the tropics here in a minute, but let me show you all this. Since you brought up Windows 95. Look at this old brick, y'all. An old ThinkPad from the 90s. Sheesh. All right, enough of that. Homework, or show and tell time is over with. Did I say Windows 97? I'm an idiot. Windows 98. Yep, show and tell. You know it. Anyways, but yeah, let's hop back to models here. We're going to take a look at the HWRF here. Let's take a look at Erin on the HWRF. So this is the latest and greatest. We got the 18 UTC. So yeah, that's really fascinating. So the latest 18 UTC model has the pressure actually going up a little bit, but that's typical. We work our way down in time, gradual strengthening over the next few days. Wow. HWRF really has the system getting quite big. So this is 8 p.m. on the 19th here. That would be on, what's the 19th? Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Holy cow. Goodness. Look at the eye of that thing. Sheesh. So there's Puerto Rico. HWRF here. Keeps a lot of that north, but hey, you know what? There definitely could be some of those outer bands reaching some of those islands. I mean, like I mentioned, we do have we do have some tropical storm watches in effect here. You have a Commodore 64, dude. That's cool, dude. Heck yeah, 5 1/4, dude. That's what this computer takes. 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there you go. You see it? I know it's kind of hard to make out. There it is. There's your floppy disk drive, and there's also a CD-ROM there on there too. Enough of show and tell 2.0 again. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of those outer bands do end up, impacting areas out there like Puerto Rico and some of the Virgin Islands. But here, let me bring this up again for y'all. Show you guys the cone here again. So this is from the Hurricane Center. You can see we do have, there you go, tropical storm watches in effect for some of those northern islands. So that's the newest info that we have for you guys tonight, as opposed to the changes from earlier today. Earlier we didn't have any of those watches out in effect, but we do now. So at this point in time, those watches are in place, meaning that you need to start keeping an eye on the storm really closely. Wouldn't hurt just to make sure you have a little bit of water, a little bit of food, and your stuff in a good sheltered location. But it is tropical storm watches. There's this guy I watch on YouTube or on Facebook. He always calls a tropical storm a rain with a name. That's basically what a tropical storm is. Let's be real, but still. There is gonna be still some potential impacts out here. The main core of it is gonna be just to the north here. So still have your Apple II. Holy cow, dude! Seems like we have a lot of people in here that like retro computers and stuff. That's pretty cool. Heck yeah, dude. Let's see here. Pretty amazing how these official Hurricane Cone maps still look the same as they did 30 years ago. You know what, Cole? Believe it or not, the older cones from the mid to early 2000s were much fatter. They were much fatter than they are today. And the reason is because... Here, let me pull up this. Because of the uncertainty, it was greater back then, and the models were not nearly as fine as they are today. Here, let me pull this up for y'all. The paper weather maps. Nah, not quite paper at that point. Here you go. Oh my goodness. I just remember them being a lot fatter. Y'all, look at this. I don't know what storm this was from. But here's a good example. Here, let me bring it over here. There you go. By the way, this is not this storm, y'all. This is not this storm. I'm going to say it right now. This is not the storm. So, this is not it. Trust me. This is 2004 graphics right here. This is not the storm. I'm going to say it now. This is old cones here. This is not the storm. I'm going to say it a million times over. I better get rid of it before I get in trouble here. But yeah, so that's that. That was the old cones. Nah. But that's not associated with this system at all. That was a system from like 2 decades ago. But you know, they used to do them with, you know, just plotting them with paper and stuff, which is pretty cool. But that was back in the old days. Anyways, all right, so we work our way down in time. Once again, it's HWRF, keeping the core mostly north of these islands, north of Puerto Rico. But the eye, according to HWRF, does get pretty massive. So these are the Bahamas here, just east of the Bahamas, you can see. But yeah, there's that. HWRF, not surprising, shows a pretty aggressive-looking storm. So there's that. Let's hop over to HMON here. It's good to compare. Gradual westerly movement here with the HMON as well. Wow. Yeah, so it really does look like the storm is going to really start to expand, you know, in size. Starts off fairly small and then gets a lot bigger as we work our way into like the 18th, 19th. You know, once it reaches a lot of those really warm open waters and stuff, it's going to really start to kind of spread out here. That's crazy, Brady. Let's see. What's up, Janice? Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully you're doing good. Don't mind that 2004 model. I haven't had rain since June 9th in my area. Wow, dude. Hopefully you'll get your rain soon. That's crazy. When we think it'll become a hurricane? So, Hurricane Center has it tomorrow afternoon. I think possibly tonight. Honestly, I would not be surprised if tonight. So, you can see here, Cat 1 by 2 p.m. tomorrow, the 15th. So, Friday. And you can see, you know, where we're at now. We are actually, this hasn't updated, I don't think. Try refreshing this, maybe. That hasn't updated. That's out of date. Yeah, so right now it's actually at 70 miles an hour. There you go, 70. So we're only 5 short. We're only 5 short from it being a hurricane at this point in time. There you go. Here's on the map here. This is the current satellite imagery of it. You guys can see pretty good. But it's definitely convecting. Whoa. Oh. Definitely convecting pretty heavily. It's getting big. Absolutely. Hauled since 11 p.m. To be honest with you, I would not be surprised if it did upgrade to a Cat 1 at 11. Because we'll also have the full Hurricane Hunter data in place by then, too. That's also a good thing, y'all. Since the Hurricane Hunters went out, they've been doing some dropson data. They've been, you know, doing some dropping those dropsons and, you know, different places within the storm, in which that is going to, like I said earlier, power up the models because they plug all that data that they collect, the flight level data, you know, not just the dropsons, but the flight level data, the, you know, the dropsons, everything, pressure, temperature, humidity, dew point, whatever. All of that gets plugged into the models, which kind of helps tune them. You know, which hopefully should give us a bit more better understanding of what to expect. But yeah, need some rain up in Nova Scotia for sure. Has it been really dry up there? Goodness. But anyways, that's it now. And like I said, we'll definitely be sure to keep an eye out there for it here. I'm going to turn off my camera for a minute, y'all, because I'm going to snack on something. I'm sure you don't want to see me snack on stuff while I'm on stream. But I'll keep everything up for y'all. I'll still be here. Don't worry. But yeah, so, you know, once again, looking at the models here, you know, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated with everything. Tomorrow morning, we're going to do an update on it for as well. So many fires going on. Yeah. That's for sure. All right, y'all. Let's actually bring up the HEFSA model here. See what the latest has. We have the 18 UTC run here. We have the 18 UTC HEFSA model here. So we work our way down in time. Yep, keeps everything. You can see it's a pretty small system according to HFSA. But yeah, it works its way here just westward. Remains fairly small. Stays north of the Virgin Islands, north of Puerto Rico. But, it really starts to grow in size, though. Like I mentioned, once we approach these waters out here, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Because it does seem like the models have been kind of trending a little bit further to the west, which could make areas like the Bahamas out here possibly getting some, indirect impacts here. The HFSA has it, getting fairly close to the Bahamas here, here on the 18th. And so, but, yeah. Roadster says, I've seen Andrew chug milk out of a carton on stream. Did I? When did I do that? Bro, I don't remember that at all. But it's not surprising, honestly. That sounds like something I'd do. Was it during one of my intense coverages that I did like 8 hours with? Because if I did, then that's probably when. Anyways. But yeah, HAFSA does have it getting pretty close to the Bahamas here, but it's fairly... here, let's zoom in a little bit. Still fairly away from a lot of those islands there. Jada says, just in time for my 77th birthday. Well, happy birthday, my friend. Hopefully it is filled with good times, my friend. It's good to have you here. And, but yeah, happy birthday to you. But anyways, yeah, HAFSA, look at that. So it kind of starts off as a really small, compact system. Then you see it start to weaken a little bit, but that's because the system just starts getting wider and it's dispersing a lot of its energy. Really starts dispersing a lot of that energy. Let's take a peek at HFSB here. A little bit weaker, but yeah, same overall story though. It remains a pretty small or fairly small and compact system, as it essentially. Just kind of goes north of Puerto Rico. But once we approach our way up here into, like, the northern Caribbean, that's where it starts to, really kind of get big in size and all that stuff. So, yeah, definitely need to watch out for that. Here, let's zoom out a little bit. We'll take a look at the parent version here so you can see it's a lot further zoomed out here. But, yeah, so it just starts off as a kind of small system, and then obviously it grows in size the further west we go. But at this point in time, y'all, it does seem like the probability is increasing of this storm actually, just going out to sea. It does seem like a good possibility. But I will tell you, though, some of these models have been trending further and further west. So we definitely still need to keep our eyes out. And, absolutely we cannot let our guard down yet. So... but yeah, for the first 3 days here, you can see the models are fairly compact. We have a pretty good understanding on where the system's going to go, for the first 3 days or so. But yeah, anything beyond that point, you can see things do start to kind of spread out a little bit here. Let's actually look at the previous models here, or the previous run here. That was the 0 Zulu from basically here today. Not too long ago. So let's look at the 18 UTC here. So there's the 18 here. There's the 0. To be honest, it doesn't look like much changed between the 18 UTC and the 0. Let's try 12. 12 in the latest. Yeah. So you can look at the 12, the model from earlier. This morning, you can see that the model, this is the 12 UTC, still kept everything west of Bermuda, but you can see that they're shifting a little bit further westward. They've actually spread out a little bit, which is showing a little bit more uncertainty here. But, yeah, so there's the 12 Zulu from this morning, and then here's the newest model, the 0 UTC, so that's 2 runs later. A little bit of a westerly track, but Still most of the models. Still, most of the models do have this thing, going out to sea, which, at this point in time, more than likely will. But, like I mentioned, we still need to keep a close eye. And once again, once we get those hurricane, flight level data and those dropson data, plugged into those supercomputers, we'll definitely get a lot more information out of it, which will be pretty nice. But anyways, let's see. It's going to be a major fish storm. It's possible. Yeah, it's certainly possible, but it's not guaranteed. Definitely, I'm back here. Definitely not guaranteed though. But yeah, once again, you can see between the two, the 12 UTC from here, from earlier, and then the new model run. There's a slight westerly movement here, so a little bit of a change there. Wind speed probabilities. So yeah, this is something to note as well. So this is our tropical storm force wind speed probabilities here. You can actually see Puerto Rico has about a 20 to 30% chance of tropical storm force winds. The eastern Bahamas, the far southeastern side, has about a 20 to 30%. A lot of the core of the system, like we've mentioned, does remain here to the north of those islands, which is good. See your rainfall potential. Yeah, it does show areas like Puerto Rico possibly getting a good 2 to 4 inches or 50 to 100 millimeters. So not a whole lot of rain, thankfully, but that could change. Do I think it'll hit New England? There is no way of knowing. There is no way of knowing. Because, you got to think here. If it was to hit New England, theoretically, look how much time it has to go. And a lot can happen between there and there. Like I mentioned earlier, we cannot look anything beyond the cone without some form of accuracy. Anything beyond the cone is just very, very much unknown at this point in time. But on the forecast here, Hurricane Center does have this thing right up to almost Category 4 here for the afternoon of the 19th. So, yeah, once we approach the afternoon of the 19th here, you can actually see we do get up to Category 3 strength. Remain Category 3, but almost Cat 4. We're at 127 sustained. So Cat 4 starts at 130 and greater, I believe, on the Safford-Simpson scale. See, all the models are curving now. Yeah, and all the main hurricane models, yeah, they are currently curving a bit, which is good. Just hopefully it stays that way. Here's some of the GFS ensembles here. Latest GFS ensembles. You can see there's obviously still a pretty big spread here. But the system is definitely, definitely moved a bit further west here. Now the Bahamas getting fairly close to some of those members there. I'd even still keep an eye on it in the Bahamas. Once again, nobody's under imminent danger. Except for those northern islands, we do have that tropical storm watch out there, which we'll keep an eye out there for, of course. Which could eventually become warnings, but yeah, here's the GFS ensembles here, and some of those been trending a little bit further west here, but the main models keep it a little bit further east. We'll have to see, because like I said, anything beyond this is la la land. So. We'll keep it on it. That isn't reassuring. Remember though, it's one model run, or a bunch of runs, or a bunch of members, I should say. Here's the GEPS. Here. So there's the GEPS here. You can see keeps things a little further east. But yeah, for the most part, the models want this thing to go between Bermuda and the U.S. mainland. So That would be the best case scenario. That would be the best case scenario. But even then, remember, even then, if it did do that, there's still likely to be quite a bit of coastal impacts here, you know, like rip currents and maybe some coastal swelling and stuff. Here, let me bring up the models here again for y'all. Let me pull up the wave height. So here's the GFS here. So latest run here, you can see, you know, this could bring a pretty decent sized amount of waves for areas out there in the, you know, in the Caribbean. Bahamas, you know, according to GFS here, could get, you know, a good possibly 5 to, you know, 10-foot waves or so in some spots. You know, and as we get ourselves closer to the coast, you can actually see that, you know, those numbers could be a little bit higher. But you can see, though, you know, a lot of the East Coast here does get, you know, a pretty good amount of waves. Just for fun, how is the AI model looking? Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I'm not a big fan of the AI model, honestly. Here's the ECAIFS here. Shows quite a big system. Look at that big wind field, though. But yeah, mostly keeps it still between Bermuda and the U.S., which would definitely be the, like I said, the best case scenario. Seems very possible at this time, but, you know, remember, you know, we shouldn't you know, let our guards down yet. But anyways, folks, if you're new to the channel, consider leaving a like, hitting that subscribe button. Be greatly appreciated. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to let me know. What's up, Bep? Good to see you, my friend. But anyways, yeah, so once again, for the people who's just joining us, so a little bit of an update on the system now. Let me pull up our SAT view. We'll do the MDR. It's definitely looking a lot better. It's pretty healthy looking here, as you can see. There you go. There's the latest satellite imagery. You know, we definitely got some really good convection going on there, some pretty high tops, deep convection. But yeah, like I mentioned, y'all, currently the storm is clocking in at 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds, which, like I mentioned, you know, that's only 5 miles an hour short from a Category 1 hurricane. So I mean, it's already close to hurricane strength here. I mean, it is right there. But yeah, the system's going to continue pushing west here. Let's see here. Yep, so this is showing 2 a.m. still a tropical storm. It doesn't show it becoming the Hurricane Center doesn't show it becoming a Cat 1 until tomorrow afternoon. But to be honest, I would not be surprised if it did achieve this, you know, by tonight. So, you know, that's something that we'll have to see happen. But yeah, just don't be surprised if it does become a hurricane tonight. But the Hurricane Center currently only has it Cat 1 here at tomorrow afternoon. Then as we work our way westward, has it becoming a Category 2 here for the afternoon of the 16th, which would be on Saturday. Yep, Saturday. And at that time and place here, it'll be sustained at 105 with gusts up to right around 130 or so. To Category 2, and as we continue working westward, it becomes a Cat 3 here for the afternoon of the 17th for Sunday, and still, you know, gradually picks up some strength here, which, you know, like I mentioned, I really would not be super surprised, you know, if the system does have, you know, potential of becoming Category 4, because, you know, at the end of the cone here from the Hurricane Center, I mean, we are already very close to, you know, very, very close to Cat 4 strength here. You know, 130 or 127 here, which, you know, above 130, that would put it into Category 4. So it's close. See, Roadster says lots of eyelashes on satellite. Good venting. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you can see these guys out here. So, that's the thing about tropical cyclones. I mentioned this here in my previous streams here, is that, in the lower atmosphere, at least in the northern hemisphere here, these systems, they do rotate counterclockwise, and in the lower atmosphere. And as you go up, the systems, all the air that goes in's got to go out, right? So in the upper levels, it actually rotates clockwise here. So basically just like a big corkscrew. The air rotates counterclockwise, it gets sucked into the storm, shoots up, and then spreads out clockwise. Very, very interesting. And, that's because of the Coriolis effect, which is is a pretty cool phenomenon. And it would be the complete opposite in the southern hemisphere. So lows would spin clockwise and vent counterclockwise. It's pretty neat. But anyways, so yeah, in the models, in the future cast here and everything, we'll bring up the models again for y'all. But in the future here, if we look at the wind shear and stuff, yeah, there's the AIFS. We're not going to look at that. So you can see here the GFS, does show that upper level venting, that clockwise movement there. That's just the venting, but there's a strong jet over the the mid-Atlantic at this hour here, you can see, but nothing like that. Why is what the heck? What? Hold on a minute, y'all. Oh! I got so confused, dude. I got so confused. I thought, okay. I got so confused, dude. I literally thought that was the system here, but no, that was me going too far in the model. Yeah, that's the side effects, y'all, of looking too far. The side effects of looking too far in the models will show you stuff like that. There you go. Turn on the camera if you're happy. Yeah, so you cannot look too far in the models, or else you'll see scary stuff like this. But like I mentioned, though, anything above 150 hours or so out is kind of in la la land. Here, hold on. Let me do something real quick. Texas, it got you too. Yeah, dude, I was so confused. I'm like, wait a minute. Did things just seriously change up on me like that? Holy cow. That about gave me a heart attack. I literally thought this was Erin here. Nah, this is just GFS being weird. I wouldn't buy that second storm too soon. No, absolutely not. I don't even think all models agree on it though. Yeah, so GFS has it forming maybe around the 20th, 21st or so. And MDR, let's see, does Euro show it? Well, there's a little low there, it looks like. Let's do the 12 UTC. I mean, Euro obviously doesn't get it nearly as defined, but it does show that low. Yeah, I mean, we'll watch it. I wouldn't completely buy it, though. Especially not where it jump scared us there. Dude, I literally thought that this was Erin for a minute. I'm like, what? Why did everything change on us? No, we're good. Anyways, but yeah, here's Erin right now. You can see it's definitely convecting very heavily. Wow, dude, look at that. Look at those last few scans. I mean, this thing is deep convecting, too, We got some serious stormage on this storm here right now. Got great circulation. Upper level venting's looking pretty good, too. Like the eyelashes, like Roadster was talking about, yeah. But yeah, definitely got that corkscrew motion going on there. See, the ECMW, I've kind of tossed a run like that the other day, but that's the first one, the GFS. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, Leo, but we don't got to worry about it because that's just GFS being GFS we all know and love. Yeah, looking too far in the GFS will show you some funky things, and that is when people love to hype false information. Just pointing out there. I guarantee you there's somebody on Twitter talking about this right now. I guarantee it. First of all, it's too far out. This is 300 hours out. Way beyond look. Like I mentioned, once again, anything above 150 hours out can get a little iffy. And even then, you should still get a lot of models. So you should watch a lot of the models here. See what they agree on. Oops. See, would I rule out a late turn to the north? To the west or to the north? Because, oh, you mean like go west longer and then turn north later? I mean, nothing's impossible, but it seems unlikely at this point in time. If you look at it, the wave isn't even off Africa yet. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about this system right now at all. If it becomes something, we'll definitely monitor it. You guys know us. We'll definitely track it. But yeah, no, all of our eyes right now are just going to be on Erin here. That's really the only one. I mean, we do have that other little disturbance. These global models have a hard time picking up on really small systems. Like 98L that we have out there in the Western Gulf. Which, let me show you real quickly. Yeah, that system's not looking so hot. You can actually see some circulation going on in there, though. Look at that, a little bit of circulation. I mean, it's got a 50% chance of development here. Let's see. The Air Force mission found that the system lacks a well-defined low-level circulation. The low is forecasted to move west-northwestward to northwestward across the Western Gulf during the next day or so. Environmental conditions appear gradually favorable for further development. A tropical depression could form by this system as it moves inland over northeastern Mexico or southern Texas by late Friday. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall possible along portions of northeastern Mexico, southern Texas over the next few days. Another Air Force mission is scheduled to investigate the system Friday morning. So tomorrow morning, looks like they're going to send in another one. Yeah, but the odds of that doing anything is pretty low. And like I mentioned, even if it did, develop, it wouldn't be anything super crazy. Oh, by the way, earlier today, we had a donation from Gregory Woods. If you're here, dude, I want to say thank you for supporting us. Because when we were off stream, I don't know if I don't even know if you're here in the stream right now and all, but whenever I was off stream here, I got that donation, and I just want to say thank you. I got it through CashApp, and I just wanted to say thank you. If you're here or not, which it's hard to tell, but if you are, thank you. I really appreciate it, my friend. But anyways, thought I'd mention that. But yeah, once again, like I said, the new update here, the big thing that we have now to look at is, once again, from the Hurricane Center, we do now have those tropical storm watches in effect here. This includes the bottom. Tropical storm watches in effect, for some of those northern islands out there by Saint Martin, or Saint Martin, I think it is. Saint Martin. Let's see here, and Bermuda. Yeah, you guys have tropical storm watches here. Let's see. Joseph says, so I'm hearing that the waters are warmer than normal. Is that true? Well, I mean, most of the waters here, where the storm's at now, is 29 Celsius, which I wouldn't say that's warmer than normal. In some areas, the water might be warmer than usual. But, here, let me show you all the... I'll pull up the sea surface temperatures here. Why not? There you go. No, but the waters are definitely very warm out here. You can see, especially out there by... like the west central Atlantic. That is a really big marker. Also the Gulf here. Yeah, a lot of these waters here get 29, 30, even 31 Celsius in some spots. Definitely very toasty. Why do I look so bright right now? Holy cow. I need a better camera. There we go. That's a little better. All I had to do was open a new tab on my other monitor, and it made me look normal. Oh, jeez. Anyways, but yeah, I wouldn't say they're warmer than normal, but they're definitely warm. Absolutely, especially in the Gulf and in the upper Caribbean. A little bit toasty, that's for sure. Which, the hurricanes, they love to absorb a lot of heat, and they use that heat as energy. Which we got to thank the big ball in the sky for doing it, Can't do that with Windows 90. Yeah. I don't think I'd be able to do much of anything on that computer. I really only use it because it has like a nice keyboard. It's nice to type out documents with. Anyways, folks. So yeah, here's the system now, if y'all want to look at it. So this is Erin right now. It's just a big blob. Just a big old blob. We do got some real deep convection, though, in it, like I mentioned. Definitely got some really heavy thunderstorm activity popping through in the storm right now. But, still no eye. Still early for that. But right now we are sustained at 70. You can see in the top left there. Sustained at 70, west at 17. And the pressure is 999 millibars here. So, it's just shy of a Cat 1. It is literally just shy of a Category 1 hurricane here. In which, to be at Category 1, we have to have sustained winds here of 74, I believe, or greater. Let me pull up the Saffir-Simpson scale. Sometimes I get these numbers off by a mile an hour or two. But yeah, it's right at 70. Yep, 74 to 95 miles an hour is Category 1. I knew it was something around there. Here you go. Here's the Saffir-Simpson scale if y'all want to look at it. Oops, there you go. Yep, so 74 to 95 sustained is Cat 1. It is currently sustained at 70. Everyone's still talking about Windows 98. It was brought up again, yes. Golf says, could it be a Cat 1 at 11 p.m.? It could. I think it's theoretically possible. I mean, with the hurricane hunters, they flew into it, and the way it's been doing, I would not be surprised. It's very close, if not there yet. Here, let's go and take a look here at the... Oh. Yeah, so very interesting. So, hopping back here, the hurricane hunters, they did a flyby in the core here a little bit ago. This brought up to 65, just above 65 knots. But remember, this is flight level winds here. This is not surface winds here. They don't have the SFMR on right now, though, it doesn't look like. So we're not getting any of that data. But flight level data, towards the core is between like 55 to 65 knots. But, I think we're close. Pressure dipped down to about 997, 998 millibars. I think we're close. We are real close. It's definitely healthy looking. Got some more convection going on to the north of the storm. By the way, the map's a little altered. It looks a little different. This is a northern hemisphere projection. Texas says, nah, it won't be a hurricane tonight. They need another hurricane hunter headed out for that, in my honest opinion. I mean, time will tell. We'll see. I wouldn't rule it out, though, completely. John says there's a teeny tiny flood watch at the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Really? Sure. I'm sure there's quite a few of them. But anyways, so, and like I mentioned, these big boxes that you guys see right here, these are hurricane warnings, but these are for the waters. These do not apply for, any area of land right now. We do have, the only thing that we have is those tropical storm watches for some of those northern islands out there. Cole says, yeah, it'll be a hurricane if not 11 p.m. Definitely the 5 a.m. update. It's going into much warmer, with drier and less SAL. It's close. I mean, regardless, like I mentioned, right now we're like 4 miles an hour off from a Cat 1. So I mean, it's close. Right now it's an upper level tropical storm. It is still a powerhouse. Cheryl says, when I'm doing like severe weather, do I have on my computer like alerts? Do you have warnings? Not really. I just usually go off this program and I just look at individual warnings and stuff. But I usually keep them out on the map, and the map updates automatically. So. What's up, Binksy? Good to see you. Missed an hour of the stream. I know, man. You missed an hour and 5 minutes. Goodness. Unless it pulls a 98L, which almost certainly be a hurricane by tomorrow morning. I don't know. There's no hurricane in Indiana right now. I think we're safe. Oh, yeah. There's no hurricane in the Atlantic right now. Where did you get hurricane in Indiana? Somebody was saying there's a flood warning in Illinois and Wisconsin border, but they didn't say Indiana. No, there's no hurricane in Indiana. Bruh. Heat stack's looking spicy. Yeah, I mean, she's bubbling quite a bit. Got that deep convection, the motor overshooting tops there. But anyways, like I mentioned, Hurricane Center, they do have the system becoming a Cat 1 here by 2 p.m. 2 p.m. tomorrow is when they have it becoming a Cat 1. That's still like a while. That's still like over 12 hours from now. Here, let's hop the models, y'all. We're going to do a little bit more model browsing. Start out with the HWRF model. The HWRF. So we don't got the 0 UTC yet. This is the 18 UTC. Chris says a hurricane in Indiana, wouldn't that be considered a cyclone? There is no hurricanes that could reach Indiana. The only type of low you would get is just a traditional strong low. It wouldn't be a hurricane. Is it still in a favorable environment? What, 98L or this system? Oh gosh, Texas. Raven says, will it hit Florida? I got family there. It's unlikely to hit Florida. It is very unlikely to hit Florida. But, shouldn't fully let our guards down. I mean, yeah, more than likely this thing is going to go just to the east of Florida. Isn't there tornado seasons in Indiana? Yeah. Indiana does get tornadoes, of course. This one, my bad. I'm still half asleep. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's definitely in some pretty strong, favorable environments. It's just going to continue to thrive. So, but yeah, it is. For the HRRR, it's pronounced the HWRR. Yep, it's the HWRR model. Has the storm slowed down or moved faster? Kind of stayed idle, basically. It's still at 17. Which it's been for a little bit. Yes, Cole. Indiana can indeed get derechos or big Doritos sometimes. Joseph says, are we thinking this will be more of a fish storm? Definitely possible, but anything beyond the cone is still a little bit iffy. We shouldn't let our guard down, but it's a possibility that it could be a fish storm. We'll see. Some of the models here do have the system being between Bermuda and the U.S. East Coast, but we'll see what happens. Banksy says, I'm glad it's not going to make direct landfall. Yeah, I mean, as of now, no areas are in danger. So, but like I mentioned, we'll definitely keep you guys updated if we have any new information that comes out. When's the new outlook? 11 o'clock. Love being able to see this all in near real time. I know it's nice. It's very nice. Having satellite imagery and stuff. Gosh, y'all talking about Doritos now? Come on, man. I'm just saying, Cool Ranch is where it's at, y'all. It don't get no better than that. It don't get no better than that. Got some deep bubbling going on, though. Here, let me pull up the models again for y'all. I got a little sidetracked there. Anyway, so here's the HWRF, the HWRF model. I know it's kind of hard to see anything. So there's some islands out there that's out by like the Virgin Islands and near just north of Puerto Rico. Those are some of the Bahamian islands here. HWRF does have it. Just kind of getting close, but still the core of it well offshore. Let's see. Are the planes still in the storm? Let me look. Let me see. Yes, they are. Right now they are on the west side of the storm. Here, I'll show you the map. There they are. So there's the core. They are right here. They're on the western interior part of the storm. Oh my gosh. Dude, the HWRF has quite the eye, you know. System is likely going to expand, you know, in size. You know, the wind field's likely going to get quite big. You know, once we pass north of, like, Dominican Republic, north of Puerto Rico and stuff. It is not a hurricane yet, no. It is close. It's very close. Right now it's sustained at 70. Sustained at 70 miles an hour. It's got to be 74 or greater to be at Category 1. But it is close. I agree. Yeah, the hurricane hunters are pretty cool. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate that. Thought the hunters would have called it by now. Well, we get the new update at 11 o'clock, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, but thankfully the core of the system should just remain to the north of like Puerto Rico, north of Dominican Republic, north of Haiti. HMON also shows the wind field getting a lot bigger. Yeah, here's the HWRF parent model. You can see a part of that Bermuda high here, some of the steering current. Kind of pushing it up a little bit to the north here. But yeah, I mean, look how big that wind field gets. You know, right now it's fairly small, but once it approaches just like out there by the Virgin Islands, out by Puerto Rico, that's when it just kind of blows up in strength here. So, anyways. Anyways. If y'all have any questions, let me know. I know my camera turned off for a minute, if y'all are wondering. It's this one in particular scene that I have. Just made a hurricane drink? What's that? What's it got in it? Yeah, but at this point in time, y'all, um, I know a lot of people are wondering about Florida and whatnot. I don't think Florida is going to get fully impacted. However, I will tell you guys this. I do think a lot of the U.S. East Coast is going to definitely have a pretty big concern with rip currents and waves and stuff. Maybe some coastal flooding. Because once again, looking at those waves out there, I mean, you could see, that those waves really start picking up here, and then as the system does get bigger, those waves are also going to get a lot bigger too. There's Bermuda once again right here. The little blob, I know it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, there's Bermuda. But as the system does get out there, I mean, it's going to get quite big, and this could definitely cause quite a bit of rough waters out there. So to my marinists out there, it's very important that you guys watch that too. If you're going to be out there on the boat, it's going to be a little choppy. If you're on a cruise or whatnot, either definitely going to notice it's going to be a little choppy. But anyways, and the GFS has been fairly consistent on Bermuda, possibly getting some pretty big waves out of this. So if you're out in Bermuda, just that's something that I would really look into. Can continue monitoring, is that those waves actually could get above 20 foot, according to GFS, of course. Let's see here. Euro shows it there too. Let's do 12. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, Euro also showing maybe some of the Carolina coast getting pretty big waves. GFS isn't super far off either. CMC does not show it. CMC does want this system a little bit further, a little bit further east out here. Cole says here in Florida we'll probably just get a couple breezy sunny days across the state. Yeah, probably not going to see much here, except for the Atlantic side, probably dealing with a little bit of bigger waves and maybe some rip current concerns. But yeah, I don't think Florida is going to have too much of a problem with this system at this point. So yeah, here's the latest spaghetti. Most of the models, they do have the system curving out. The main hurricane models do keep this thing west of Bermuda and east of the U.S. mainland. But, remember, things can still change. At this far out, still not 100% certain. But we'll definitely monitor it. But yeah, probabilities are increasing that it'll go out between. Hopefully, it'll just kind of squeeze between Bermuda and the U.S. and hopefully it'll, not really cause too much issues. It's all we can wish for right now. Intensity guidance. So this was the same hurricane models, just the projected intensity here. You can see that gradual strengthening still expected to occur. Yeah. No golf. I do not. Sounds good, Cheryl. That does sound pretty good. But anyways. Here's GFS ensembles. Most of those members keeping things still between Bermuda, still between the U.S. East Coast. So that's good. Hopefully we'll just, like I said, squeeze right between those areas. It definitely seems possible. Once again, the GFS here, the 18 UTC, has the thing between Bermuda and the U.S. Don't want to go too far out there, but, has this thing squeezing out. Let's see here, the ECMWF here. Yeah, Euro does have the system pretty close to, like, some of those Virgin Islands out there. And then we work way further. Does also keep things between Bermuda and the U.S. East Coast. Oh, dude, my favorites are pina coladas. Those are so good. Definitely good. CMC, yeah, like I said, CMC wants things a little bit further east out there. An Icon. Yeah, Icon was the more aggressive model, as you guys can kind of tell. Icon kind of wants this thing to go full-on crazy mode here, but yeah, it's unlikely to pull this path here at this point. Yeah, Icon's a little bit aggressive. So if you see any people hyping up the Icon model, just know that that is a very unlikely scenario at this point in time. See, Icon is usually the aggressive one. Yeah, it certainly can be. That sounds good, Cheryl. Erin seems like it could strengthen into a hurricane at any minute. It's just 4 miles an hour short from hurricane status. Yep, I think so too. It's pretty close. It's certainly pretty close. Like looking at the satellite imagery now. I mean, once again, you can see that it's got pretty good, pretty deep convection. It's been doing pretty good. You can see that venting, the upper level venting, really starting to kick off and stuff. It's definitely looking a lot healthier. That's absolutely for sure. By the way, everybody, if you're new to the channel, consider leaving a like, hitting that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated. It's good to have y'all here. But yeah, if y'all have any questions or if you want me to look at anything specific, let me know. I'm the bartender. Oh, come on, man. Let's see. Usually trust the Euro. Yeah, I mean, Euro has a pretty good track record, but the thing is that, you should not prioritize one model over another. You still need to treat all the models fairly, equally. Like I've mentioned in the past before, sometimes the, sometimes the Euro has done good, and sometimes the Euro has done bad, and that really applies for a lot of other models too. It's not just the Euro. See, I love the no hype, just chill stream. That's what we're here for, my friend. See, the imaging of the venting action is really neat. I don't think I've ever really paid attention to that before in a tropical cyclone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it happens all the time. That's that upper level clockwise circulation going on. Because in the northern hemisphere, they rotate counterclockwise. And, that air goes up. That updraft, and then in the upper atmosphere, it vents out clockwise. And all that's because of the Coriolis effect. It's a very neat phenomenon. Yeah, the pressure's a lot lower up there. Is there any chance this could become a Category 5? I mean, guidance that we have right now does not suggest it. So I wouldn't say that that's on the table right now. I wouldn't completely rule it out. I certainly think that Category 4 will be quite possible. I do. I really do think we're probably going to get to that. Once we approach these waters out here, just east of the Bahamas. Because at that point in time, there's the waters out there are 29, 30 degrees Celsius waters. So really, really, really warm waters out there for one. You know, great moisture content. Still, you know, still enough moisture to get things rolling. Storm does get bigger. Depends on how big the system gets, because, you know, these tropical cyclones can use up their energy. They can either be a compact, tight, little strong system, or they could turn themselves into a big, you know, more spread out system, which usually takes more energy. But yeah. So if it was going to do anything like that, it would be in these waters out here, for sure. Kevin says, is there anything behind Erin? So some models are picking up on another potential wave rolling off the west coast of Africa. It's too early to tell. Right now, the Hurricane Center doesn't have anything on it, so it's not a big concern at the moment. But, you know, if anything happens, if anything develops, we'll let you know. Yeah, Cheryl, but I don't think we got to worry about that. Yeah, this is not going to go into Gulf. Cole says, what are those cloud tops heights right now? About 25 to 50,000 feet. They're definitely pretty tall. We ain't got no radars out here. However, I might be able to work something up here. Let's see. Yeah, satellite view. If I go to full disk east. RGB composites. Here we go. Where is it? Air mass. Well, shoot. I swear there was a cloud top. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Cloud top height. Let me look at this real quickly. And then I will let you know. Y'all about to get a face reveal for the people who haven't seen me yet. Maybe this will load. If it does, we'll... Oh, here we go. It's loading. Hey, there we go. Okay. Let me do my readout. If my thing wouldn't freeze. Let's do sample. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah. Cloud tops right now are about 50 to 53,000 foot towards the core from what it looks like. So yeah. Definitely is pretty tall tops. So there's the Antilles you guys can see. You know, the big island over here is Puerto Rico. It's certainly looking a lot more healthy. You can see the eyelashes here. You can see that upper clockwise venting process going on here. Let's see here. Erin is a very dominant storm in the Atlantic right now. Well, it's the only storm. It's really the only storm, so I mean, yeah, I guess it is. Let's see. Golf says there'll be another Gulf Storm 98L isn't the end. I mean, at some point, maybe, yeah. But not in the immediate future, no. So, yeah, it's good height. Definitely convective for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Why do they name both the planes Miss Piggy and Kermit? I don't know. I always wondered that, too. I've seen those P3 Orions fly over. Because their home base is in Lakeland, Florida, and that's where I'm at. I live in Lakeland, Florida, so I see them going through. I have an image floating around here somewhere of last year. Hurricane hunters went out to investigate some storm. Was it Franklin? Was that the name of the storm? I don't remember. There was a storm that they flew east into, and then I saw them go over me and go back to LAL. Cheryl says the weatherman said earlier that they're watching a system in the Gulf because it's sending big-time tropical moisture to Texas. Yes, that is true. That's called 98L. That's actually the other system that we're keeping an eye out there for. Here, let me hop back over here for a minute. So you can see, that's it right there. Now, this isn't going to be like a full-blown hurricane or anything like that, so you don't got to worry about that. But yes, it will definitely likely bring some tropical moisture into the region here. You know, we do got ourselves a 50-50 shot of development here. So throughout the next 7 days, we do got a 50% chance of the system turning into a depression. Sean says, is Erin the only tropical storm in the Atlantic? Yes. Cole says, that's cool. I didn't know they were stationed there. Figured they'd be Tampa or Jacksonville or someplace coastal. No, believe it or not, they're out here in Lakeland. They're at LAL. Right here. LAL Lakeland Lender International. Yep, and I live out here in Lakeland too, so I've seen them go by. Hopefully I'll get them pretty soon. Just times I've tried to look for them, I was either late or I didn't see them because they didn't fly over me, or it was just dark or cloudy. Conditions got to be just right for me to be able to see them. But yeah, like I said, I got an image floating around here somewhere last year where I saw them. Pretty cool stuff. It was one of those P3 Orions. I think that's where the P3s live. I say live. That's where they are stored. Yeah. So P3s are out there. I don't know about the C-130Js. I don't know if those are also positioned in Lakeland. Those might be in Louisiana. I'm not sure. So we've got to the Lakeland Air Show. I think that's every April. Really need to see a plane. Oh yeah, absolutely. Sean says, did it get stronger? It did. So right now the storm is sustained at 70 miles an hour. So this is it right now. Just a big old blob right now. Still a tropical storm, but barely. It's almost a hurricane. It's close. It's close to hurricane strength. But we are currently clocking in at 70 mile per hour sustained winds. System's moving west at 17 miles per hour. And pressure's down to 999 millibar. Golf says, do you think the C-130s are in Mississippi? I think you're right. I knew it was one of the Gulf states out there. I wasn't sure if it was Alabama, Louisiana, or Mississippi. But yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right. I do know the P3 Orions are in Lakeland, though, here. So that makes me proud to be living in Lakeland. Got a pretty big, important part of hurricane hunting. I'd love to go out there and see a P3 someday. That would be so cool. Kevin says, do I think that a perfect storm will happen again? What do you mean by a perfect storm? Is there something that I'm not catching here? Here, let me pull up some other sat views here. I wish they had simple water vapor here. Looks like we do have a bit of dry air ahead of the system, but the system itself is still going to contain a fair amount of moisture. Doesn't seem like dry air is going to be too much of a issue. In the future forecast here. Let me bring back up the models here for y'all. Let's see here. Oh, 3 storms colliding. Oh. Well, I mean, tropical systems, they don't really converge like you think they do. They kind of dance around each other. Let's see. Can they take you up on one of the Hurricane Hunter trips? I don't think so. If they would, I would love that. I would absolutely love to do that someday. That would be super cool. Let's see. Nah, I don't think it's going to go to Florida. Do not. The Fujiwhara effect? Yes. Yep. Yeah, so these cyclones, they don't, like, run into each other like you think they would. They would just kind of dance around each other. It's kind of similar to, like, planets and moons and stuff. You know how they have a central mass and they revolve around each other? It's pretty similar in that sense. Ah, yep. NH, yep, absolutely. You know, if that did ever happen, which at some point in the Earth's history or the Earth's future, it would absolutely occur at some point. But yeah, no, they just kind of dance around each other. Fujiwhara. Anyways, let's do a little bit more analysis here. We're gonna take a peek here at the moisture levels. I'm actually gonna crank this to the West Atlantic here. So what you guys are looking at here is the humidity chart from level 700 to 300 HPA or millibars, same equivalents. Basically, 300 HPA is upper atmosphere, 700 HPA is lower atmosphere. Higher the number, higher the pressure, closer to ground. I believe, I don't know what the exact correlation is, 700 HPA. Let me pull up a calculator here. We'll do like 700 HPA to feet. Pressure altitude calculator. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Millibars, HPA. Okay, so we're going to do 700. That converts to about 10,000 foot. So this is humidity we're looking at from 10,000 feet up to 30,000 feet. So between 10 and 30,000 feet is the amount of moisture we're looking at, which is basically the core of the system here. But anyways, the brown represents drier air. More dry air. If we grab a sounding out here in this environment, you can see that we do have a pretty big spread on our SKU-T charts. We got our green dew point line here and our red temperature line here. This is at a vertical representation. So this is ground level. This is upper levels here. So, temperatures, you can see drop with altitude, 0 degrees Celsius. This is our freezing line. It's not straight up and down. It's diagonal. And it looks like our freezing point is right around 550 millibars. Anyways, besides the point, it's pretty dry. There's a pretty big spacing between our dew point and our temperature here, indicating that there is pretty low humidity, which would be dry. We looked at the satellite view, which you can see. This is the model here showing us, kind of roughly where we're at now. So, yeah, this is kind of where we're at now. And then looking at the satellite view, you can kind of see where that's at. So you see there is that dry air that actual satellite has picked up on. And so there it is in the models. Anyways, so this bluish green, this is more saturated. You can see those dew points and temperatures that are basically hugging each other, showing that it is saturated. Humidity is very high. So we work our way down in time, and you can see the system looks like it robs some moisture from northern South America. Y'all see that? So there's a big pool of moisture out here by the equator, and it kind of looks like it could steal some of that moisture as it works its way to the northwest. That's why it's not really going to dry out here. And so, yeah, moisture doesn't really seem like it's going to be much of an issue here. And that, honestly, and because it's robbing a lot of moisture from northern South America, that's likely going to contribute to the widening of the system itself, making that system a lot wider. And therefore spreading out its energy over a greater distance. And, because of that, because the system's getting bigger, that will, certainly allow for bigger waves and, more spread out waves to occur. Cheryl says, I have friends that live in Florida. I think, Lady Lake or something said they are in the middle of the state. Gotcha. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. I'm basically in Central Florida. Lakeland, where I'm at, is literally like Central Florida. Where I live in Ontario, Canada, it's been a drought. Gotcha. Yeah. 11 p.m. advisory coming soon, like 20 minutes. That's kind of what I was waiting on. Y'all, can we just have a round of applause for myself for doing an almost 2-hour update this time? Typically our updates are about an hour, but I wanted to push it tonight, you know? I think we're going to try to start doing some longer streams. Maybe some more relaxed streams like this where we kind of go over everything, just kind of talk everything out. I think they're very important, and I think that, you know, this is like the best way to give you guys all the information. It's just like, you know, relaxing and just talking about everything, looking at the models and all that stuff. But anyways, but yeah, back to what I was saying though. You know, the GFS doesn't really show too much of a moisture issue. Once again, pulling some more moisture from northern South America. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, I couldn't do this without you guys. Y'all know that. I'm really thankful to have you guys here. I really am. So I just want to say thank you for that. Appreciate every single one of you guys. So yeah, Euro. Yeah, Euro, you know, before we get that little moisture kick, actually, yeah, Euro doesn't show it as much. Euro does show a little bit more drier air maybe getting into the storm here, but still ultimately keeping enough to still continue that strengthening trend here. But yeah, it still does not really seem to be an issue. Once again, it's going to get to its strongest point once we once we get to those waters in the Northern Caribbean. Let's see. Scott says this storm has not done what they say. What do you mean by that? It's done everything they've said. I mean, we were saying how it's going to be slow development as it moved westward, which it did. It didn't do a lot the last couple days, except for now, of course. Now it's starting to pick up. It's because it had a little bit of dry air, a little bit of shear, and the waters were cool. Now the shear's gone down to very light, to no shear, as well as still got a lot of moisture, and waters are a lot warmer. So right now the storm, where is it located? Where's the exact coordinates here? Okay, so we're located almost 17 degrees north, 52 degrees west, basically. So remember that number. Actually, I'm going to bring this over here so I can remember that. And then we're going to look at that sea surface temperatures here. Pull it up right here for y'all. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the old-fashioned plotting here. Let's see. Analyzing the data, minimizing the hype. You got it, my friend. Absolutely. Y'all know how much I hate those people who hype out things. It's ridiculous. If you guys want true, honest weather, y'all are here. I don't hype anything up. I always make sure everything I say is true, and you know, I don't like to look beyond the cone, while a lot of people like to, if that says anything. Let's see here. Scott says no, it hasn't. It stayed west and southwest of what they said. That is not true. No. The system. Remember, here's where the center of the storm is, and this is inside of the cone. Oh dear God, Scott, get out of here, dude. We don't need no drama in here. But no, it's been doing good, and yes, it has been the cone, like y'all said, for the most part. It's doing everything exactly what we expected it to. Absolutely. What's up, K-Jack? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing good. See you later, Scott. I don't need you anyway, man. Get a load of this guy. Here, let me get rid of him. We don't need people like him in this channel. Anyways. But yeah, like I mentioned, y'all, we are expected to get to Cat 3 here. Hurricane Center has it at 2 p.m. on the 17th, which that'll be on Sunday. So Sunday at 2 p.m., that's when Hurricane Center expects this thing to become a Cat 3 here. At that point in time, it'll be north of Puerto Rico. And like I said, we'll gradually work our way over here to the northwest. In which, like I said, once we approach these waters out here, that's where we're going to really pick up some activity. Yeah, let me do what I was going to do here. I got sidetracked here. Let's see. Let me pull up the SSTs here. So the current position of the storm here we mentioned was 16.9 degrees north. So we're going to go ahead and plot this here. So 16, it's, I wish this had a little bit more of a breakdown here. It's all good. 16, it's a little rough. It's got to be, okay, 16.9, and what was the other? 51.9 west. Okay, so the storm is roughly right in here. Somewhere in this area here. Can't get it approximately. A little tricky, considering we don't have those lines going through, but it's all right. Anyways, right now the storm is kind of clocking in at 27, 28 degrees Celsius waters. MP coming in with a $2 super chat, man. Thank you, MP. I appreciate that. Big shout out goes to you, MP. Thank you, dude, for the support. It's greatly appreciated. See, Scott needs to chill. I agree. Hey, you know, we don't got time for the people like that, you know. I mean, I'm just here for y'all to let you guys know what's going on. I mean, you guys know that. If you guys have been here for a little bit, y'all definitely know that that I'm here to help, and I'm not here for hype or misinformation. So there's a lot of people out there to give other people like me a bad rep for all that stuff, and it's sad. It really is. Do I think that the Outer Banks should be keeping tabs? It's only because of the geography of the area. I mean, yeah, we shouldn't let our guard down. I mean, at this point, it's unlikely for a direct impact, but, you know, you never know. You know, given past the cone, things can, you know, change quite frequently. Absolutely. What I will tell you, though, is that, I mean, what's almost certain at this point in time is going to be some coastal impacts, you know, with the, here, let me pull this up for you once again. Pull up the models. Rage baiter, absolutely. You just got to ignore people like that. You know, you're going to have people that come in your life and try to do stuff like that, but you just got to keep going. Ignore them haters, man. But yeah, no, the coastal areas are likely going to be dealing with some pretty big waves here. You know, and with that, there's going to be a big rip current concern. Like the GFS here, I mean, you can see this is the 18 UTC here. A lot of the coastal areas here, I mean, all the way from Florida's coast through the Mid-Atlantic coast, you know, up into the northeast here. You know, GFS kind of suggests at least, I know it's kind of hard to see here, move it over a little bit, does show that some of those waves could get between maybe 5 to, you know, 10 feet or so, you know, just off the coast there. So we definitely could see some pretty big waves and stuff like that, of course. And, you know, with that being a concern, there rip currents, you know, this time of the year, a lot of people are at the beach, you know, so that's why it's very important to take this into consideration. It'll be a little bit dangerous to go out there. You know, wouldn't be surprised, but some of the models kind of indicate, you know, like coastal North Carolina there, you know, right on the areas out by like Nags Head and whatnot, you know, could probably see a little bit higher waves. GFS suggested, also Euro does too, so there is a bit of support here. Now you can see that, like the peak, the little lip of North Carolina here. Let's see if we can get a little bit better of a view here. Western Atlantic, there we go. Yep, so you can see that Euro here does show, possibly some, bigger waves above 10, maybe 15 foot or so. This is not final, but there is support. GFS shows it too. This will be here for the 21st. This is 156 hours out, which is a little bit far in my opinion. I don't like to look any further than this, but anyways. K-Jack says this is a fantastic channel with a fantastic chat family. I agree. I appreciate that, K-Jack. I love all my viewers. I love hanging out with y'all and talking weather. Love it. So I appreciate you guys. Every single one of you. Even the haters. Let's see. Outer Banks has a flag that they hang up that says no swimming. Oh, yeah. I do know they hang flags. I don't think it's just the Outer Banks that does it. I think it's a lot of coastal areas. Especially populated beaches. Some people would surf and not take cover. Yeah. Yeah. And remember, always a little bit of advice for you guys. If you get caught in a rip current, make sure you swim parallel to the shore. You don't want to swim directly back to the waters. You got to swim parallel, because if you swim directly to the coast, it'll just pull you right back out, and you'll be exhausting yourself. So you need to kind of swim parallel to the coast. It's the best way to get out of those. Just a little bit of advice. But better yet, just don't go in the water. Yeah. It'll take a little bit for the waves to calm down. But, because like I mentioned, a storm of this size and, this strength here, I mean, it's, it really can move around some water. Michael says, "Hi Andrew, just got home from work not too long ago. Just wanted to see if you're doing zip codes tonight or no." No, not tonight. Nah, tonight we're just focusing solely on the tropics, as we'll probably be doing here for the next several days. All of our eyes are on Erin right now. Will New York coast feel any winds or high tides? So winds it's unknown, the full effects. Models have been really wanting this thing to go out to sea, which hopefully it doesn't go out there, of course. But anything beyond this point is a little bit far out, so we still need you to keep an eye on it. There's no reason for any panic or any worry. Just don't let your guard down. But most models do want this thing to stay away from there. More than likely, though, regardless of where the thing ends up going, we are probably going to have some forms of, we're probably going to have some forms of coastal concerns. Like even up in the Northeast here. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger. Adjust the size a little bit. Hold on. Oh, this tab's being there we go. There we go. Significant wave height. So GFS. Now this is pretty far down and pretty far fetched. You can see though. Once again, this is 168 hours out. Don't take this precisely. Don't take it too seriously. But you can see some of those waters out there. By the coastlines. We could get some pretty good sized waves. I mean, yeah, you can see the table here. The green out by a lot of these coastal areas could be between 5 maybe 10 feet or so. So yeah, definitely likely will be some form of coastal concern there, but we'll keep it on it. Still a little early to tell exact. Golf says, haha, sorry, I studied climatology and physical geography, so I look at things through those lenses as well as meteorological lens. That's awesome, dude. Cole says, good advice. Riptides are no joke. So many people drown each year from state from riptides. Absolutely, yeah. It's oh no, y'all, they did it. Cat 4 new updates out. What did I tell you? I mean, to be fair, I kind of saw it coming from a million miles away. Is it a hurricane yet? It is not. It is not. Holy cow. Here you go, y'all. Here is the new update. This is the 11 p.m. update. Pressure went down a whopping 1 millibar. Dude, look how quick my little system did the update there. The one on the top left. That thing updated quick. I actually made that myself, so. Anyways, what's this? 50-50 chance still. No, but Erin is not a hurricane yet. Erin is not a hurricane yet. But we are still at 70 sustained. Pressure did go down a millibar, but still moving northwest at 11 miles an hour. So I think it was going west before, but yeah, we're moving west-northwest. Oh, that was interesting. Did y'all hear that USB? Let's see what we got going on the forecast cone. So yeah, here's 11 o'clock update. They did not add any more watches or warnings, it looks like. So early morning it is. Yep. Dang, dude. Well, yeah, no, Category 4 is in the forecast now. That's actually a little bit earlier than I thought. They have it, wow, dude, this thing gets... Yeah, they have this thing getting a lot stronger, a lot quicker now. Sheesh, okay. But yeah, they have it getting Cat 4 at the 17th. 8 p.m. on the 17th here. They have Category 4. 132 sustained, so that's low-end Cat 4. With gusts up to about 161. Sheesh. Well, there you go, guys. Fresh off the press. It's supposed to be a Cat 4 now. But to be honest, I mean, like I said, am I really surprised? No. You know, that was kind of... I kind of saw that from a long shot. Calf says I got caught in a rip current. Holy cow. So yeah, no joke. There's big waves and undercurrent. Yeah, Kath, I'm glad you're okay, dude. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That's terrible. Gulf said hurricane warning. Nope. Well, we do have hurricane warnings out here. These are for the waters, though. Yeah, these are for the waters, but do not apply for the land. Cole says you nailed the Cat 4 status. Good call. Thank you. Yeah, like I mentioned, though, I mean, that's kind of where a lot of the, the heaviest, or the greatest conditions is going to be for that storm. You know, the greatest potential for strengthening and stuff. Absolutely. But it's actually a little bit earlier than I was kind of thinking. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. They did actually extend that up into the evening of the 19th. No, I think we're good. But you can see the cone. It goes a lot further up north now. Let's see. The cone looks even more northerly. Yep, it sure does. Yep. Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I don't think Florida's going to get it. For the people who've been wondering about Florida, yeah. At this point in time, it's got a little bit better of an understanding. Going to be a monster storm for the fish, whales, and sharks. Yeah, but they're under the water, so they won't really know what's going on. I just hope that this thing stays between Bermuda and the U.S. You know, I don't want it to go too far to the right, because, like I said, then that'll put Bermuda at risk. Definitely do not want that. That's for sure. Yeah, that sucks. What's up, SPC? Good to see you. Roadster says, see, swimming in the ocean has its risk for sure. Oh, absolutely. Golf says, let's see, it'd have to take a comedic left turn to hit Florida. Yeah. Yeah, it likely won't do that at this point, though. Let's see here. Why is the hurricane still moving west? I feel it may wobble into the Caribbean islands. Still concerned for St. Kitts where I live. So, yeah, it's going to continue moving northwest for the next little bit. I mean, right now it's moving west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. We do got that Bermuda high kind of keeping it down, but that high is expected to shift a little bit to the east here, which is going to open kind of a little passageway for the system to kind of squeeze in. There is no immediate danger for any of those islands. We do have some tropical storm watches for some of these northern islands up here, but yeah, no immediate big danger, because the core of the storm, the worst of it, is just going to be off away from these areas. Once again, the Hurricane Center here, you can see for some of those northern islands here, the yellow here, these are tropical storm warning, or sorry, not warnings, tropical storm watches. Here in the yellow, you can see the yellow indicates tropical storm watch, pink hurricane watch, red hurricane warning, tropical storm warning in blue. All we have right now is just those tropical storm watches for some of the islands up here, like St. Martin and some of these other areas I have a really hard time pronouncing. Antigua and Barbuda, I think that's how you say that. Yeah, so you guys are in the watches out there, kind of for the Northern Antilles. Does not apply for any area like Puerto Rico or anything like that, so. Let's see here. Looks like Florida can have a party now. No, man. I mean, if it was to hit Florida, then we'd have our party, but... Let's see here. Did the Outlook come in? Yes. Yeah, we just got the Outlook here. This is the new Outlook that we have. And once again, I mean, the Hurricane Center now has the forecast showing a Cat 4, which that'll be there for the evening of the 17th. Evening of the 17th here. So. Let's see. Andrew's got the latest stats of Erin on top left. Yeah, top left, that is up-to-date information on Erin. It updates automatically. It is a little system I put together. Still a tropical storm, though. Still is a tropical storm. What's really cool about it, I think I can test it with you guys. You want me to see it? You want me to see it test? Here, I can't even English. You want me to test it to show you guys what a hurricane would look like on there? Here, I'll do it real quickly. I think I gotta find the right thingy here. Is this it? Oh, here we go. Interact. Are you ready? Here we go. Oh, wow. Straight to a 5. Those winds don't line up to a Cat 5, but that's what a hurricane would look like. And it just goes back to current storms. You see, we'll do another one there. So that's what it's going to look like in the future. Yeah, so it automatically shows hurricanes and their category and stuff. But anyways, back to real storms. This is it right now. Do y'all still do hurricane parties in Florida too? Well, yeah. I did with Milton. Let's see, Roadster says we're so borderline on hurricane right now. We are, dude. We're right on the borderline. Oh, look at that. They brought it back to 8 a.m. though. Cat 1 by 8 a.m. But look at that. They actually have it at 81. So it's, minimal hurricane is 74 to 95. That's category 1. So, and by 8 a.m. they have it at 81. So, Guarantee you next update. What time's the next update? 5 a.m. We're certainly not going to be live then. But yeah, no, 5 a.m. I think we should have our next update. It's every 6 hours, I believe. See, hurricane parties are a tradition along the Gulf Coast. Absolutely. Y'all want to? Y'all want to know something crazy? Just like think back in the day, right? Before we had satellite imagery, before we had weather models, I mean, even proper observations. Like, you wouldn't know a hurricane was going to hit you until it was on you, you know? I mean, things could look rough, and you wouldn't know if they're going to get even worse or whatnot. That's crazy to think about. So you got to be really thankful for the technology we have now that can alert us and, warn us of these systems here. I mean, you gotta be thankful for your boy Andrew, though. Always here to keep y'all up to date and stuff. Golf said they probably could not find conclusive evidence of hurricane force. They punted it. Yeah, that's very likely. I mean, it is right on there, though. Yeah, so once again, y'all, we are right now sustained at 70. I mean, we're likely gusting up to like 86, this shows. 85, 86, whatever. Pressure did drop a singular millibar. Now down to 998. See, back in those days, they had Morse code. That was their only warning. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's like the best way of communication back then. But I mean, like, even before then, it's like, back in the days that messages traveled in days. Thank you, K-Jack. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you guys. Back then, they relied on ships. The ships would communicate conditions to the mainland. Yep. Yeah. It's pretty cool how all that used to work. Once the United States hit the space age, that changed everything. Not just for, mankind, but also, like, technology. I mean, shoot, like, we got our first weather satellite out there. I mean, space age really did do a game changer. But anyways. Alright, y'all. I don't know how much longer we're going to stream here. We've been live over 2 hours now. This is definitely the longest update I've done in a while. 2 hours and 8 minutes exactly. So, I guess what I'll do is I'll go ahead and ask y'all if you have any questions. And if not, then I guess we'll head off for the night here. I gotta do a few things before I go to bed. I gotta clean up a little bit. So, if y'all have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, of course, for you guys. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Leave it a like if y'all haven't already. It'd be greatly appreciated. And but yeah, tomorrow on the table, what we've been doing for the last couple days, we've been doing 2 updates a day. We've been doing one in the late morning, early afternoon. And of course, we'll be doing another one, sometime in the evening, anywhere from 8 to 10 p.m. So we'll keep you guys updated. Shale, there's not going to be an approximate time. I hate making commitments. I hate saying I'm going to do it on this time, and then something comes up and I either A, forget about it, or B, something comes up to where I can't. So I just say around this time. So tomorrow evening around 8 to 10 p.m. No specific time for the late morning, early afternoon. It'll either be between like 11 a.m. to maybe 1 p.m. or so, roughly. So. Oh, yeah. You know it, Roadster. Got any winning lottery numbers? Oh, yeah. Here you go. Michael says, should I be prepared for this hurricane since I live in Denver? Brother. No, you're good. I know you said just kidding, but bruh. Nah. Never know, Chris. I remember watching a documentary on the New England hurricane of 1932, how bad the prediction text was. They relied a lot on historical tracks. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. I always, like back in the day, I think it was 60s, 70s. I remember watching something where they had, still computer models, like weather models, but they were printed. They were printed on these large sheets of paper. Yeah, something like that. I think it was the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty cool stuff before like the, computer monitors and everything like that. I mean, well, for weather, anyways. Of course, there was monitors out back then, but before it was digital, I should say. Let's see. We'll get a notification. Good. Yeah. Yeah, just expect us to be live by then. YouTube notifications are weird. I had to change mine to all. By default, notifications for your channel will set to personalized, so I don't get every notification. That's weird. YouTube is weird on that. They're not really the best at notifying when we do go live and stuff. I've noticed. Absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. Try not to worry about it. I know here in the tropics and, all the hype going around, I know it's a little iffy. I know a lot of people are hyping this event up, but like I said, it'll be all right. We'll get through it. We'll keep you guys updated with everything. And if you're new to the channel, I recommend that you guys consider subscribing. That way you guys can actually get real information here. And I'll make sure to keep everything honest and everything like that, as we always have and always will be. And I'm not going to hype anything up. Everything you see here in my titles and my thumbnails is true. None of it is made up or hyped. So it's just truth. I appreciate that, Cole. I do. See, good night, Michael. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. But once again, MP, if you're still here, dude, thank you once again for the $2 earlier. I appreciate your donation. Greatly, greatly appreciated. And then also, like I mentioned earlier, whenever I was offline, I got a donation from Gregory Woods. Thank you, dude, if you're still here or if you're here at all. I just want to say thank you as well for the donations. Greatly appreciated, y'all. Helps us out directly and helps keep us afloat. Can never thank y'all enough. But just want to say thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate ya. Let's see here. Great stream. Nice to see the great chatters. I agree. This was a fairly laid back stream. I liked it. I'm gonna start doing more of this. Instead of keeping everything so serious all the time. I mean, yeah, we got to keep things serious, but I feel like they can be a little bit more relaxed like this. Thank you, Cole. I appreciate you too, man. Let's see, KJX says thanks for what you do. Keep everyone informed, Andrew. Of course. Not a problem. Glad to help y'all out. Theodore says, what do I think that Erin will max peak over its lifespan? There's no way of really telling for sure. The new spaghetti, or not spaghetti models, the new Hurricane Cone from the Hurricane Center does have it to Cat 4. I mean, kind of expected that for a little bit, but it's really hard to tell, honestly. Let's see. Golf says thanks for the stream. You're very welcome. Roaster says take care of your great stream. Appreciate it, man. You too. I really appreciate it. Call people with a sense of humor and laid back. Yeah, I agree. Can't always be so boring all the time, All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to roll off here. Thank you all for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to join our Discord, if you want to talk to us after hours, you guys can join that in the description if y'all are interested in that. Everything else you guys need to know, all stuff to follow, is in the description as well. But yeah, I think we're going to roll it off for now here. But yeah, we'll catch y'all tomorrow. I'll be live at some point tomorrow afternoon, either late tomorrow morning or late tomorrow morning or early afternoon. We'll be sure to be live for you guys to get you guys weather updated. Alrighty. But all right, everybody. Thank you for joining. You guys take care. Try not to worry about it. Ignore the hype. And like I said, we'll be back here for you guys tomorrow. Alrighty. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.